Welcome to day 4 of my 31-day live video challenge. Today I am going to tell you why I left my profession after 20 years. So for those who don't know, I am a pharmacist by trade. Not anymore, I'm not a practicing pharmacist anyway. And it was a very, very hard decision to make, to leave that profession, because I was basically brought up being told, not being told by, but influenced by my parents to become a healthcare professional. It was very much doctor, pharmacist. Those were my choices. And my parents were more into me being a pharmacist because pharmacists have better hours. You don't need to be 24/7 on call. And, you know, if you have babies, then you can, work a few days and hours are more flexible. So that was kind of like the path that was paved for me from when I was very young. From when I was 12. So from when I was 12, in my head, I wanted to be a pharmacist or a doctor. Those were the two professions that I want to be in from age 12. That's the earliest that I can remember with me wanting to be a pharmacist or a doctor. So I didn't get into medicine, which is probably a blessing in disguise, but I did get into pharmacy. I got really good grades because I love studying, like I mentioned yesterday. And so I got into pharmacy, went through pharmacy school, and started working as a pharmacist. And to be honest, I didn't really enjoy clinical work. I didn't enjoy pharmacy as a course. Not very interested. I kind of just did it because I had to. And, I found it interesting, and I love that I have all this medical and healthcare knowledge now to be able to, look after my family with that knowledge and understanding the healthcare system, because the healthcare system is a minefield if you have no knowledge. And especially now, where if you have no healthcare knowledge, you can easily be influenced and believing things that aren't true. So, anyway, where was I getting to? Yes. So, worked in a community pharmacy, went and worked overseas in England, and then I landed in the pediatric hospital here in Perth. And that was straight after I went to England. So that was 2007. I worked in the hospital, and I worked and I worked, and I loved it. It was so different from community, like retail pharmacy. And I was like, oh, and you can go into different roles and do different things. And I did it all. I was probably the only person in that department that had worked at every single section in the pharmacy. I knew how each section ran, and whenever it was short staff, I'll be here, then everywhere, helping out. And then, worked my way to being chief pharmacist. Woohoo! Um, Kind of just happened in a way, but hey, I got there. No one complained that I was put in that role. I was deputy at that time, and I was pregnant. Um, so, anyway, long story short, this is what happens with live, and I like babbling on, um, is that I had a baby, and I realized that actually I had a baby, and I told my boss actually that I'll be back in 6 months. And then obviously I had a baby and actually wanted to spend more time with baby, and didn't go back until actually month 9 or 10 maybe. And that was because I was ready to work. I was like, really can't be at home much longer. I really love work. So I went back to work early because my boss had a project, and I went, okay, I'll go back. And that was when I discovered that I don't like being told what to do. And it's not in a way of ego. It was that I think I realized that all this time that I was working, there were so many rules and things that I had to follow, even though they weren't right. All right. It wasn't the best way to do things, but because this person said that, or, there's so much politics in a workplace. And when I went back to work, I realized I really didn't like it and I really wanted to do my own thing. But I didn't know what that was. I spent the next few years searching and searching for it. And I didn't not like work. I loved the people I work with because, I've known them for so long. And, I think about 10 years before I had a baby. Gosh, has it been that long? Yeah, it has been that long. And so it was very much, I was with my family and working, but I really didn't enjoy the work anymore. Even though I'm good at it, I just, there was something. I can't even say I didn't enjoy work. There was just something that was telling me that this isn't what I'm supposed to do. So I spent the next few years searching and searching and got into a network marketing company. Didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to. And then I had my second baby. And when I had my second baby, I kind of knew that I won't be going back. But I had no idea. I still had no idea what I was going to do. And so the first day I went on mat leave, I decided to pull out this course that I bought less than a year ago, and do it. And it was to learn about trading. So I did that and I got started, and lo and behold, 6 months later, after I had the baby, I had replaced my full-time income. Full-time 6-figure income. And it was like, whoa, I'm hardly having to work and I can replace my income. This is nuts, right? And so I went, okay, if I can do this for another like 6 to 7 months, then I'll quit my job, because then I can have space to actually think about what I want to learn. I mean, what I want to be and what I want to do. So then the pandemic hit and I lost a significant chunk of my money. And I went, looks like I'm going to go back to work. But then I was starting out and I didn't really know, like in terms of protection, how to protect myself when trading. And obviously after that drop, I kept trading. I didn't want to let the fear and all that get to me. I'm like, okay, surely there's a way, there's a way, there's a way. So I just kept trading, and then I tripled my money by the time I had set the deadline of saying that that's when I'm going to quit my job. And so by then I had tripled my money and I went, cool, all right, I can actually quit my job and, it's replaced my 6-figure income plus more. I was earning more than my husband. And so that is why I left my 6-figure, high paying, high ranking job in the hospital pharmacy. I was managing the dispensary, the outpatient, inpatient pharmacy at that time. And I had a really good team. I made it, the team was so good. Like my second in charge was excellent. The people that came in to work in my section was just fantastic. I had such a good team. I really enjoyed work. And it was very hard to let go. And I didn't know how much grieving I had to do before actually quitting my job, because work was my baby. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but before I had my real babies, work was my baby. They were like, work was everything. And then my babies came along, but work was still such a significant part of me because I was one of those crazy people that cared way too much about work and cared about everyone at work and cared about how we can make things better, building communities, making people happy so that we have a happier workplace, which means a more productive workplace. I was one of those crazy people. And so it was so hard to let go of that part of me. And also because I've been a pharmacist for in the pharmacy healthcare profession for 20 years, it was so hard to let go. And although I had been on extended mat leave for over a year when I went back to, really say goodbye and retire from pharmacy, I remember, they really put on a really nice morning tea for me. My boss was great. He really did respect me a lot, and I'm grateful that he did look after me in that way. But when I went to do my speech to say goodbye, I was crying so much, heaving, and I just couldn't stop the tears. I couldn't even get my words out. That's how much grief and how much I had to let go. Still quite emotional about it. But yeah, so today's topic is just about why I left work. And sometimes I think we forget that sometimes we leave work not because we don't like it, but it's time to move on. And not everyone has to become an entrepreneur. That's one thing that I always tell people. Like when people say to me, oh, you know what you want to do. Well, yeah, okay, but it doesn't mean that just because I went from pharmacy to being a coach that you have to do the same thing or you don't have to start a business. It might be that, it's time to move on to a different workplace, but you're doing the same thing, or, in a different role, in a different capacity. It's just being very clear and actually listening to your heart when your heart is telling you, it's time to move on. You've had a really good run here. You've, done what you're meant to do here. It's time to do something else. And whether that something else is to serve yourself or serve the community or whatever it is that, that the universe or God, whatever your beliefs are, has for you, is just important to realize that when your heart tells you that it's time to go, listen, because otherwise you'll feel very stuck in where you are and you'll start resenting work. And the last thing you want to do is leave a workplace with yourself resenting where you were. Because I don't have that resentment when I left. I loved everyone that I worked with, and I still am in contact with them. I just visited my old workplace a few weeks ago with my kids. It's like a family. They're still like a family to me. To me, they're always family. So it's just realizing that just because you're leaving a place, it doesn't mean you hate it. Sometimes it just means that it's time to move on because God has bigger plans for you. So that's my little my little spill for today. And as always, I love you, I believe in you, and I will see you tomorrow for another live video. Mwah.